Welcome to PM in the PM. This is the regular podcast where I take a recent event and look at how it links to the ACCA Performance Management syllabus area. The benefit of listening is we're looking at real-world application of what you're learning. That helps students remember what they're learning. You give better answers to those application questions. And these podcasts, obviously they're for PM, but they help with APM as well. Now, hopefully you're wondering how performance measurement could have made me a victim of crime. And this all comes down to a recent experience I've had. I've recently been in the process of buying a car. My car was reaching the end of its life, and so I've had a fair amount of dealing recently with UK car salespeople. And one of the things I've become aware of, and other people around me, is they are quite high pressure when they ask for an evaluation of how they're doing. They ask very explicitly for you to score them 10 out of 10 or 5 stars. One thing I experienced was a level of emotional blackmail. It was said to me very explicitly, if you don't give me 5 stars, I will get £100 taken from my wages. The thing is, I'm all about performance management. I understand about performance measurement, and that's not what performance measurement is. Performance measurement is about improving performance, not about achieving 5 stars. The 5 stars is an outcome of delivering high performance, of delivering a great service. And I find that approach very insincere, and actually personally I'm less likely to give 5 stars if I feel I've been emotionally blackmailed. And if that's not bad enough, I did buy a car, not from that company, but I bought a car from another company. And when the car was delivered, I was told that I would expect a total run through, a demonstration of how it works. It's an electric vehicle, I've never had one before. And so when it arrived, the guy who delivered it looked like he was about to leave, and I said to him, I've never had an EV before, could you just give me a run through of how it works? And his idea of the run through was to point at the flap at the back, which is where you plug in the charger, and said, well, instead of putting petrol in there, you put electricity in. And that was it. And that really annoyed me, because if you have an EV, you'll probably be aware that it's effectively a computer on wheels. It's more about the technology and the setup and things like that, where people will need help. So I don't think he really achieved what I was expecting in terms of a demonstration, but it gets worse. The next day, I received an email, and in that email was a handover form, a PDF, which showed photos of the car and things like that to demonstrate there was no damage and those sorts of things. And there was a list in there of about 30 items under the title, Handover to Customer, and every single one had been ticked. Not by me, I'd never seen that form. The person who delivered it had ticked every single one to state that he had shown those things to me and had not shown a single one. That was a lie. The second lie, at the bottom was a space for me to score the handover. And apparently I'd scored 10 out of 10. I'd never seen this form. He had given himself 10 out of 10. And then this is where it really annoyed me. There was a signature box for the customer signature, and in it was my name. I had not signed that form. I did not sign that form. I had never seen that form. In the UK, there is a law which is called the 1981 Forgery and Counterfeiting Act, and within that it is clear that forging a signature is a criminal offence. And even if someone gives you permission to forge their signature, it's a criminal offence. So I was wondering whether, when the organisation was setting up this performance measurement process, whether the ideal outcome was to make their customers victims of crime. Clearly it's a minor crime. I'm not going to waste police time with it. I've obviously escalated it to the company, taken it through an internal process. I'm not going to waste police time on this. But under UK law, I've now become a victim of crime because I bought a car, and that car company has decided that it was more important that they got 10 out of 10 for performance measurement than to deliver a service that deserved 10 out of 10. And the reason I say this is, obviously, as someone that loves PM and is fully embedded in PM on my day-to-day life, performance measurement is really important. It's a really important part of how we make organisations better, but it's really important not to lose focus, and I feel focus has been lost here. In the PM syllabus, we look at financial and non-financial measures of performance. We look at profit-making organisations. We look at non-profit organisations, the public sector and charities. We look at how to measure and evaluate performance in those organisations, how to evaluate performance of individuals, how to get the most out of individuals and organisations. But it's important that companies remain ethical. If a company thinks that it's right to manipulate an evaluation in order to score well, That is not okay. That is not what performance measurement is about. So the focus has to be that performance measurement is a means to an end. The end is great performance, not a measurement of performance. If all they're focused on is improving the measurement, that's not what performance measurement is for. Now in the PM syllabus, most of the focus is more on the what and how of performance measurement. But if there's an opportunity to bring in an ethical stance in a Section C narrative question, perhaps a criticism of the way the performance measurement process is or some risks associated with it, things like I've just mentioned, if it doesn't achieve what it's set out to achieve, i.e. better performance, it's not a good system. And if you do go on to APM, many of the questions are about evaluating the performance measurement methodology, not the performance of the organization. A lot of students get it wrong and they talk about organization performance where they should be talking about the methodology used. And this is a really good example of where the methodology used to measure performance when it came to purchasing this car is failing. It's not successful. Always make sure you're thinking real world. It's not just about being engrossed in the question. See if you can think a bit laterally when you're answering these questions. See if you can think, what would this look like in the real world? Where could it go wrong? How could people manipulate the system for their own benefit as opposed to actually achieving great performance? Well, thanks for tuning in to PM in the PM. I hope you found this episode informative and helpful. Do share with any of your friends or colleagues who are studying PM or going to study PM. Thanks for listening.